soda-flavored jelly, animal-saturated soups, pickled fish fillets, hot sauce-covered chips. There's clearly no lack of creativity when it comes to our president's favorite White House snacks. We're here to show you some of the weird foods presidents have requested to eat in the White House. Food and Wine reported that our second president, John Adams, took his love for liquor to the next level by drinking a quarter of a pint of hard cider for breakfast every morning. Apparently, everyone in the mid-1700s loved a hearty helping of morning hard cider. In fact, according to War on the Rocks, the average American at the time drank about 35 gallons of the stuff every year. Even children drank it. But hard cider was more than just a satisfying beverage for Adams and his fellow colonists. During his time as president, currency was hard to come by. Mental Floss wrote that many colonists used cider to purchase goods, and even used this alcoholic beverage to pay their bills. The New York Times reported that Adams attributed his love for the hard stuff to his college days, saying, "I shall never forget how refreshing and salubrious we found it, hard as it often was." Before you picture Andrew Jackson gnawing on animal hide underwear, leather britches was actually the name given to the 7th president's favorite dish of dried green beans cooked with water and bacon, according to SC Times. Before the invention of canned goods, people preserved their beans, air-drying the legumes until they shriveled up into leather britches. No fancy equipment or electricity was needed for this process. Folks simply picked and hung the green beans to dry in the sun, which helped preserve them through harsh winters. It was rather common to see leather britches hanging from back porches, pantries, rafters, and even attics when strolling down any 19th century American neighborhood. Once the beans were dried and ready to eat, they were cooked with water and served hot with any meat, but typically bacon. This plate was a rather elementary meal to make and found its way to many tables during the Jackson era. Apparently, squirrels make more than cute neighborhood critters. The Food Timeline wrote that despite access to an abundance of meat-based protein, both William Henry Harrison and James A. Garfield were celebrators of squirrel stew while in the White House.
It's only a squirrel!
In colonial times, settlers cooked up whatever they could find, which of course included squirrels, according to the Daily Beast. We can imagine some grew an affinity for squirrels out of the meat's sheer availability. President Garfield, for his part, insisted on these furry tree lovers. In fact, the 20th president experienced frequent digestive issues while in the White House, for which doctors encouraged the president to indulge more heavily in his favorite squirrel-saturated dish. Not all of our nation's leaders were keen on proper culinary practices, but Chester A. Arthur may have been one of the most notorious cuisine-conscious presidents to take up residence in the White House. Upon his arrival, the 21st president celebrated his inauguration with a classy dinner prepared by a renowned French chef he brought with him to Washington, according to the Food Timeline. Arthur loved fishing and loved eating fish even more. He took every opportunity to enjoy a fresh batch of seafood, particularly Rhode Island eel. Revered as a delicacy during Arthur's time in the White House, the native New England eel may have been enjoyed a little too much since then, as these saltwater snakes were eventually, quote, pushed to the brink of extinction in modern times, according to the Providence Journal. Although he may now be one of the United States' lesser-known presidents, Arthur will always be remembered for his impeccable penchant for fine dining and a rather posh palate. If you've ever tried to pickle something, you know the process involves soaking food for weeks in vinegar, sugar, and salt. But have you ever thought to slip a saltwater fish into your next batch? As the Food Timeline relates, our 22nd president, Grover Cleveland, often had his seasoned taste buds set on one highly sought-after European dish, pickled herring. A delicacy in Europe, herring is a 15-inch fish native to the North Pacific and North Atlantic Oceans. The Swedish Spoon reported that after it gained popularity in Sweden as an essential household dish, herring quickly became a coveted good in the European trade business. This fish became so popular that countries both near and far, including the United States, begged for more. Apparently, folks were so eager to eat the Scandinavian delicacy that they consumed the fish straight from the jar, pickle juice and all. President Cleveland never expressed much interest in other fine European dining and expressed a particular distaste for French cuisine. Delish reports that he once wrote, "I must go to dinner. I wish it was to eat a pickled herring, Swiss cheese, and a chop at Louis, instead of the French stuff I shall find." America's earliest presidents played pivotal roles in leading colonists through uncharted territory and worked rigorously to unite the nation, particularly through communal meals. Food and supplies were often limited, but luckily for the first settlers, green-snapping turtles thrived in the new colonies. According to history, turtle meat and eggs quickly became a household staple. By the late 1700s, turtle soup's popularity had skyrocketed, and eventually grew to such a high demand that mock turtle soup recipes gained equal fame.
Awesome!
As per the Food Timeline, presidents from John Adams and James Buchanan to Theodore Roosevelt and William Howard Taft regularly requested turtle soup at their tables, including on Roosevelt's 42nd birthday dinner and routinely at Taft's luncheons. Turtle soup eventually made its way from the president's personal kitchen to everyone's pantries. By 1920, says history, Americans had access to this presidential favorite right in their neighborhood grocery store, though it's since all but disappeared. Prunes, egg whites, and chopped nuts may not sound like much, but it's these simple ingredients that made a beloved nosh for President Dwight D. Eisenhower. According to the Dallas Observer, President Eisenhower was actually an accomplished cook and took great pride in preparing food for family and guests from his personal recipe collection. The Food Timeline reports that although he enjoyed serving up his own confections, perhaps his most revered White House request was a prune whip made by Chef Francois Rosavi. Chef Rosavi knew just how President Ike liked his whip dessert, which was reproduced in the Healdsburg Tribune in July 1963. Just 1 cup of prune puree, a dash of lemon juice, some unflavored gelatin, 4 egg whites, vanilla cream or whipped cream, all blended to perfection. Prune whip may have lost some of its luster over the years, but those looking for an easy, light, and nostalgic dessert edition might want to give Rosavi's recipe a try. Probably one of the most infamous and definitely one of the weirdest presidential recipe requests come from our 37th president, Richard Nixon. According to My Recipes, cottage cheese and ketchup was a daily demand for Nixon. While your stomach may be churning at the very thought of the snack, Dish reports that Nixon loved to eat it with a side of pineapple. Nixon had no limit to when he wanted his dairy dish. The former president ate his beloved cottage cheese and ketchup every day for either breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Vice reported that the Nixon clan loved cottage cheese so much that when the president requested 4 steaks and a bowl of cottage cheese for his inauguration dinner, the White House kitchen ran out and had to forage around town for more. President Ronald Reagan loved jelly beans. What started as a substitute for smoking quickly morphed into an Oval Office requirement. We don't blame him, as stress-eating candy is at least better than tobacco. According to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum, Reagan received regular shipments of jelly beans from the Goelitz Candy Company, later renamed Jelly Belly, while governor of California. Later, Reagan received 3.5 tons of red, white, and blue Jelly Belly jelly beans at his inaugural celebration. The candy company also made sure to keep his office stocked with his favorite jelly bean flavors, including licorice. Atlas Obscura reported that Reagan's desk jar of jelly beans became such a staple that he wrote a letter to Jelly Belly stating, "They have become such a tradition of this administration that it has gotten to the point where we can hardly start a meeting or make a decision without passing around a jar of jelly beans." Where Reagan had his beloved jelly beans, George H.W. Bush had his own favorite Mexican-born bacon bits. As per the Daily Meal, the 41st president loved his sweet and salty snacks like popcorn, beef jerky, and Butterfingers, but he fancied pork rinds coated in Tabasco the most. In fact, he loved them so much that he declared his affinity for rinds on the 1988 campaign trail. According to Vogue, just the mere mention of pork rinds from the former president caused sales to jump dramatically. As a thank you for his very public endorsement, pork rind makers dubbed Bush Skin Man of the Year. Salted pig skin may or may not be a popular snack in your pantry, but during the 1980s, pork rinds were a hot commodity, and they're making a subtle comeback today. Whether it's their long-lasting flavor, their low-carb contents, or their versatility, pork rinds have earned a rightful spot in President Bush's office and on snack shelves everywhere. The 1990s brought us many memorable trends: Game Boys, chain wallets, and of course, inappropriately flavored snacks. It only makes sense that our most prominent 1990s president also enjoyed similarly misseasoned treats. Bill Clinton had a stellar sweet tooth for both candy and chocolate desserts, but nothing compares to the taste that he had for the Clinton family recipe deemed Coca-Cola salad. This soda-flavored gelatin dish was a celebrated recipe and a frequently enjoyed dessert in Clinton's White House kitchen. Deceptively deemed a salad, this sweet snack is made solely of Coca-Cola flavored jelly and served with black glacé cherries. Although, as Cheat Sheet reports, the Clintons' White House chef called the unique jelly concoction, quote, atrocious, both Bill and Hillary routinely knocked back spoonfuls of Coca-Cola salad. Was it the Clinton Coca-Cola recipe that later got Hillary into hot water for support of a 2016 soda tax proposal? Or was that only coincidence? Whether there's a deeper connection between the soda giant and the former First Family or not, one thing is certain: Bill Clinton loved his salad made with refreshing Coca-Cola flavored jelly. The Bush family sure knew how to do some serious work at the dinner table. Known for his love of Tex-Mex cuisine, George W. Bush was a fan of substantial dishes like Texas barbecue and hearty home-cooked helpings of chicken pot pie and grilled cheese while heading up the White House, according to the Daily Meal. But one of the most cherished and possibly the most filling requests from our 43rd president was cheeseburger pizza. Yes, you heard that right. 2 junk food icons melded together to make one mouth-watering super meal. The Daily Meal reported that the legendary cheeseburger pizza consisted of pretty much every cheeseburger ingredient on top of a margarita pizza. It's amazing that the Bush family still had room for dessert after dining on this greasy dish. According to Bake, the former First Family enjoyed helpings of apple cider creme brulee and other treats in the White House. For us, though, just the thought of the tummy-rumbling cheeseburger pizza recipe has our stomachs feeling full.
I think they misestimated the will and determination of the Commander-in-Chief, too.
We've all had our shameful moments of shoveling fist-sized burgers and mountains of fries down our gullets so fast that we hardly have time to taste it. but we rarely return for more once the deed is done. The same can't be said of our 45th president, who required routine deliveries from his favorite fast food joints while in the White House. SE Times reported that during his term in office, Donald Trump was a notorious fast food addict who indulged in his favorite gut-heavy meals daily, regularly ordering dinner from McDonald's. Trump adored junk food so much that he actually demanded the White House staff recreate his most cherished McDonald's Quarter Pounder burger and fried apple pie recipes, according to Thrillist. When his in-house kitchen team failed to meet the chain's fast food standards, Trump would send his bodyguard to the Golden Arched establishment to get his fix. As we contemplate the disgusting excess of Trump's fast food indulgences, we can't help but ponder the truth behind the proverbial saying, "You are what you eat." If he's not devouring his McDonald's menu favorites, Trump's presidential menu often featured a generous supply of Diet Coke, cherry vanilla ice cream, and steak with ketchup. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more MASH videos about food history are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.